Hey everybody, welcome to Mountaineer Miccast episode number 5. On this week, I'm going to break down the second week full of games for both the minis and the juniors teams and also tell you the things that I saw in both practices and some stuff I'm looking forward to going forward into game number 3. Stay tuned. So as I mentioned in the introduction, it is episode number 5 of the Mountaineer Miccast. Can't believe we're already this far into these episodes. I'm going to continue to put the content out. So for all of you who are continuing to watch these, thank you for doing so, as well as everybody who's interacting with the Facebook pages and watching those games live and then going back and watching those replays. I really appreciate it. You're helping us grow, helping us be a part of the great things happening here in the youth volleyball in the Martinsburg and Panhandle area. So thank you for that. Let's go ahead, get started into this one. I'm going to try to keep this a little shorter, but when I get going, I can't guarantee it. I see a little clock at the top of my screen. Usually try to keep these things under an hour. So far, they've been pushing that, but I think as we continue to get in the season, those might kind of come down because there's hopefully less stuff I have to rant about, but there is another rant coming on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and break down the Monday practice before game number 2. I was not there for it. Plain and simple. But what I would like to say is I heard from a lot of the parents that it was a great practice. Our other two coaches, Coach Josh and Coach Roger, handled those. I heard it was a lot of great things. I actually had the coaches go back to the single practices instead of doing the joints. So the mini had their practice, the juniors had theirs. Both teams have a little bit of different stuff to focus on. Yes, there is some commonalities and the fundamentals for the young athletes for what they need to do. But overall, I do think there's a little bit of differences in the strength of the minis versus the strength of the juniors, along with their weaknesses, and from what I have seen so far. So the Monday's practice, again, I was not there for. My family was on vacation for that one. The other coaches were able to hold that down, so I appreciate them for doing so, as well as all of the athletes and parents coming to practice, and again, showing up, giving the effort, and trying to get better. So we just jumped a giant loop of what usually the podcast is about. So we're going to go into the games to start us out. So the very first game on Wednesday night was the minis game. We were playing against, I would say, a pretty good team. From what I remember, the coaching staff has coached in the league before. So I do believe it's one of the returning coaches from the previous season. I know that they were 1-0 coming into the game. That was the same as us. We had won the previous week. Overall, really happy with how that game turned out. Now, one thing I will say for my minis team is I understand I do have 2 pretty big advantages compared to a lot of the other teams, and I'm not going to hide that. The very first is allowing for the joint practices. So those brand new girls are able to get more practice time in versus other teams. Now there are other teams who do hold joint practices, but that may be for a senior, junior level, not just the mini junior like I am doing. I do know there's other teams that do joint ones. And again, that's beneficial for the athletes, to have that extra time, especially at the minis level. The other advantage that we have is the amount of players on our team. So we have 8 girls currently on our minis team. We were supposed to have more. There were some roster changes. But in the end, we ended up with 8, which usually means I have a pretty solid group that can always play without rotating. Now, again, they do rotate out in the league. As far as the rules go, when they're in for a set, they stay in the entire set unless there's an injury, which will come up in this one. But for the most part, you can develop a pretty strong, solid lineup. And if you have a good 4, even better if you can get 5 or 6. But if you have a solid 4, and especially with not having to rotate as many girls in, you're at a great advantage. And so we do have that. There are some strong girls, but every girl is getting better, which is awesome to see. So we started out that game. Very first set, I thought it was a close game, but went well. Usually the first set, you're always going to see the team's best servers come out. Great serving by both teams, especially the other team. They did have some good servers on that. Some girls going overhand at this age, which I love to see. It's not something that I necessarily push in the minis level. If a girl is ready to and she's developed the skills to go underhand and then go overhand, Absolutely. Go ahead and go overhand. There's some girls who have some umph and power. Alina and Addie, my two kids, they would still technically be in the minis level. Even now, they're bumped up to the juniors, but they could go overhand. But it's awesome to see. Not very many girls do it, maybe 10%. 15, and that's a high number. So really, really happy that my girls were able to go against good servers who could serve overhand and play solid defense. Not a lot with the minis that ultimately I need to really worry about. I thought the serving was pretty solid for where they were at. Again, at this age, they're not really setting the ball and doing some of those harder skills. Could they? Possibly. It's just not something that I focused on the very beginning with them. I believe passing needs to be the most fundamental thing. I also feel like if you teach setting really early on, a lot of the girls just want to set constantly and they forget the fundamentals of passing. And when they see the ball, they just want to slap at it. And I know, and everybody else knows, if you've coached, you're a parent. So if you're a parent here, you can tell the kids, if you watch the games, I'm sure you hear me, you can tell them not to do something 100 times, they will still do it. So that is usually why I do not teach setting at that young age, maybe really briefly, but it's not a skill that I want them to get really good at that age, because ultimately they're just going to continue to play what I call tennis, which is where they're just one hit back and forth across the net. We don't want that. So, and without teaching proper hitting, I think just setting up and then passing over, I don't really see the point in it. Again, so it's not a skill that I really teach, but overall, very happy with the game that was played by both teams. We did have, I believe, in the third set, I do believe we had a player, I believe it was the third set. Again, go back and watch the game. That game currently has around 450 views for a minis game, which is awesome. And I know a lot of the families are watching because I see you comment. So thank you for joining with that. I do know there's some other people, but it's usually there for the families. And so if you go back and watch, I believe it's the third set, we had a player who took a ball pretty hard to the face. She had to come out of the game very early on. And by her coming out, I had one of my more prominent servers on the bench. I brought her back in. That necessarily did not go over very well with the other team. Again, the rotation stuff going on what our books had and the game, if there was a rotation error, which there should not have been, you would have to watch the game to go back. I have not watched them to go back yet, but going off of our books, there shouldn't have been an error in the rotation of the players. I know the other team wasn't thrilled that one of the better servers came back in because they're competitive and they're trying to win, and I totally understand that. I don't fault the other team, but we were going off of the books of the numbers written down. I believe it was correct. Again, if I'm wrong on it. Ultimately, we were able to win that set. We had another good serving performance, especially from that one individual. Lily came in and she just crushed her serve. So Lily, if you're watching, your family's watching, shout out to you. You had some great serving in that game. Ultimately, you were the MVP of that game, which is good because I would say the previous game, Braylon would have been the MVP. Lily was this one. So it's a variety of different players who are going to really step up and make an impact. You'll see that in the juniors as well. It's not just relying on one player to do it all. It's good when you see a variety of different players step up during the weeks. So Lily, great game for her. Good serving. I believe we ended up winning 3-1. I'm sorry, I'm really bad at tracking it right now because I'm not going back and watching the games like I was in the previous ones. I will though. I will go back and watch them and do stats eventually. I've just been tied up. Again, vacation, everything else trying to catch up. I wasn't able to get to it. So overall, our minis improved to 2-0, which is awesome to see. This week for them will be tough. Braylon will be out. So there are some other girls who are going to have to step up in order to try to keep that team undefeated. Again, if they lose, you lose. It happens. Nothing really matters until the tournament. And even then, it's just fun competitiveness that you're seeing. This isn't life or death or make or break for any of these kids. So we just want to make sure that ultimately the girls are having fun, but it feels great to be 2-0 with those mini teams that I mentioned. The previous ones, my daughter's not on that team. I'm working with a different group of girls here, and I can't just rely on my daughters to get the extra work in to step up for that. So great job by the minis. Looking forward to their performance this week without Braylon. I believe some players like Aubrey and Aspen and Lily will step up. to play another great game. That team can be tough. And the one thing I'm proud of them about, and I've mentioned it in some previous ones, you're going to hear me harp on all the time, I want good defense. I don't want to be just a team who can serve and you're relying on the other girls not being good at defense. I want to be a solid serving team, but I want to be a great defensive team, and I believe the girls are starting to get that down because they do scrimmage against the juniors, and there's times where even they can beat the juniors on points, and I love to see it, and that's effort. Defense is effort. Yes, there's a technical side to it as well, but you got to be willing to go after those low balls and those tough balls. The Minis team does it, so I'm very, very proud of them for what they're able to accomplish. Here's where the bulk of the Mite Cast this week is going to come into, and that is the juniors game. So this is a matchup I talked about last time. This is two really good teams going at it. So it's us against the black team. I mentioned it in previous ones, but we have new viewers. This is the team that we played last year in the Minis Championship. Yes, there's new players, but there's core fundamental players on both teams. The coaches have their daughters on the team. I have my daughters on the team. I give them credit because they stepped up as well. So they're doing what we did as we bumped up in the competition level. But I would say that team is our friendly rival team. We have one of their players from last year. They have one of our players from last year. So it just makes for a fun game. Hitting them very early in the season is kind of tough because I think both teams are starting to feel themselves out. Last year we played them twice. We faced them in the regular season. I believe both teams were 6 or 7-0 at that point. First time we played them, we handled them. And again, I'm going to give credit to them. They're a good team. My team came in ready for that game. I talked about it all the time because I was tracking the other teams. It's like this is the heavyweight fight. These are the two best teams going into this. One of these teams is going to leave with a loss on their record. The other one is going to stay there. You're probably going to see them again. So set the tone now for what you're going to find out later. And we did. We saw them again in the championship, which is pretty funny because this game played out very similar to the championship game that we played in the Minis last year. The very first set of the Minis Championship, and again, mind you, we handled them pretty well in the regular season. I believe we won 3-1, but the very first one, I mean, we came out and we just blew them out, and that wasn't something I'm sure that team was familiar with. My team was looking forward to it, so we set a tone. When we played them in the championship, they were tough. They got up on us, and I've talked about this in other Mite Cast. That team got up on us like 12-0. My team was so flustered. The crowd was in it, the momentum. Again, my team who did this to them previously is now feeling like, oh my gosh, like this is going to happen to us. It's the championship. We've went through the whole year undefeated. Now we're at this point where our backs are against the wall. And in that game, again, this is the championship from the fall season of last one. We were able to get their servers out to their top 2 servers. So you get 6 in a row, then you have to rotate. And they were perfect on going after our girls who were a little bit newer and struggling. In that one, we were able to catch a break and get a point. So I believe it was 13-1 them. And Braylon came up, Braylon on my minis, who was battling for us then. She came up 6 in a row. Then my daughter Alina comes up 6 in a row. And then we're right back into the game. And then it's a little bit of blow for blow. And then we kind of pull away at the end. And I believe we won something like 25-18 or 25-19. This is, again, the championship. Set number 2 comes up because it's in the tournament. It's the best of 3. Set number 2, I left quite a few of the girls, my better girls. Again, I've talked about I don't stack my lineups. Well, that's what I did. I left some of those better girls in that second one to where they were just going to come out and the firepower was just too much. And we won that championship game. Again, we came out like a fight and got knocked down immediately, had to fight back and rally, which ultimately stole all the momentum. Then we finished them out in that. Again, but I love how that game played out. For anybody who was there, it was intense. Ultimately, yes, I'm glad we won it. It stinks for them because it's you have the highs. Because this happened to us in the Jefferson League. We were just in the winter. We got up in the championship game. We had I think we maybe only had 2 points to go to win that first set. The other team came back from like 12 down on us and was able to pull that out. So I know how that feels, being that close and getting up, and then just such a momentum swing tends to happen. So I bring that up because this game started the exact same way. They got serving first. Our former player who was serving for them was killing it. Now, my daughters have wanted to go against her. Again, she's a former teammate. We wish her the best of luck. I hope they play great because ultimately, and I've mentioned it before, I don't want to just beat up teams who are not very good. And when I say beat up, you know what I mean, beat them. I don't want to do that. I like the challenge of the games, and I like good volleyball. It's not that fun if you come out and you have girls who can serve and the other team can't return it, and it's just point after point after point. Because again, the human in me hates to see that for the other team. I know how that feels. And even the coach side of it, you're hoping that the other team can get something, even to score against it. Again, at this level, it's not like you put your foot on the throat and you hold it down. I want to see all the teams do good, and I want to see every girl be successful out there and play good games. Yes, somebody has to win, but not at the extent of where you're going to have blowouts. And it happens. It happens in all sports. But she was able to come out in that game, and our former player, she got up on us, and Addie was really, really playing hard. So Adeline, my daughter, my youngest daughter, she was all over the court. I'm going to give her credit on this one. I will say for this game, I would say she would be the MVP for this one. She was not the first game, but Addie has been waiting and waiting for this opportunity. Now, the other thing with us is we were just at Disney the entire day before, so we were pretty much up from 5 a.m. all the way until 11 or 12. Then we flew back into Baltimore, drove to get to the game, then we were there for the game. So there was really no rest. So I'm so proud of how she was able to come out with very little rest and just play her butt off. Again, Addie she wants to be a defensive just specialist and just shut down the servers for the other team. For her, it's not about scoring. It's she wants to make it known that you're not going to score against her, and I love that because that's my defensive mentality. So even though she is my own daughter, as coach, I'm giving her credit. She killed it out there. She played her butt off. She was all over the court. Even the other parents came up after the game and said some stuff about it, which is always awesome. I love to see that and hear that as well, because I'm very much the same way. I want to congratulate the good players on the other team for the efforts. So we got down in a big hole. There was a timeout that was called. And I told them, I said, half of you girls have played this exact game before. And again, because I have about half of them back, we were in. It's the same game that we saw in the championship. So it's just telling them, regardless of what the score is up there, we've been here, we've fought back, you've seen it. Those of you who are not with us, it's doable. We've done it before, and sure as heck, that's what we did. We fought back, and it became a slugfest of a first set, going back and forth between the teams, which I love to see that. Especially having the amount of skill that was out there is pretty good at this age, and to see the teams just fighting. Now you could say, well, you get up 12 points and then the other team comes back on you 12. It's not that good. There was some good volleyball being played. It was a fun one. Again, the crowd was excited to see it, and I'm sure a lot of those parents who return, they know, the coaches know, the players know. Our families, our players, we know what we bring out of each other in those teams, and I'm sure they were looking forward to it as well, to play us. And so ultimately, we were able to take a very tight first set from them. Again, I'm not sure what the score was. We were able to pull that out though. So awesome to see, and that kind of ignited a fire with the team. So here comes set number 2. Did not go well. And I'm going to come back to this later so I can keep moving. Set number 3, Addie had to come out of the game. And I told him, I said, you don't have Addie making all the plays defensively in the first game. It's up to these other group of girls to step up. In set 3, it was a hard fought back and forth set again. Picked up the win in that one. So then we go to set 4. Once again, we get pretty much hammered in set 4. So it was a tight set 1 and 3. We were able to pull them out. And then set 2 and 4, it was pretty ugly. I think they had like a 12 to 15 point margin of victory in those sets. So once again, our juniors team has tied. We have won in both games. We have won the first 2 out of 3. The first game we won the first 2 sets, lost the last 2. This time we won set 1, dropped 2, won number 3, dropped 4. I mentioned it on the previous one. I hate tying with a passion. I wish they would, and I believe this is to get all the girls as much equal playing time as possible. I wish they would get rid of the 4th set or just call it a throwaway set. Now, I know it's easy for me to say when we've won it, the first 3, and then you lose number 4, but ultimately, I believe you're putting your best effort players are probably playing games 1 through 3. So 4 to me, it's whatever. Now, I told this team in the practice, because once again, we left feeling defeated. We fought, we won, and we tied, but that's not what we're there for. Like last week, the team that we played last week, they were excited to tie because they got crushed in the first one. They had a close game in the second set, and then they beat us in the last 2. So for them, they felt like they were on the victory of up. Not for us. We felt like it was a loss because we know what we're capable of and what I expect out of this team. Same with this week. It felt like a loss. Pretty rough after the game. It's rough enough to where I made my daughter's ride home with my wife because I just needed time to cool down because I want to separate coach and dad from my daughters, and it was just easier because Alina was pretty upset. Addie definitely was about how the game played out. They really wanted to beat this team and not tie this team again. We take ties as losses. It just feels like that. We don't feel happy with it. So I was able to kind of, think about it and come home. And as soon as I came home, it was dad mode again. We'll deal with volleyball tomorrow. And that's what we did. So Thursday's practice, again, this thing's moving quicker than the other ones. Thursday's practice, I got all the girls in. Now we had a few girls out who left for spring break, totally understandable. But I got all the girls together at the very beginning. I had them sit. And I know a lot of coaches don't necessarily agree with that mentality of that's how you start practice. Well, I'm not like a lot of coaches. I did a quick warm up with the girls and I had them sit down. I didn't even let them start grabbing balls and start hitting and doing all that stuff. I wanted to have a talk with them. And I wanted to not, this wasn't a lecture for them, but I wanted to ask them because I do believe it is, especially at this age, and as you go forward and you get older, I guess you could say the same thing. I just asked the girls, does anybody feel like we won that game? Of course, the minis were there too, so yeah, they raised, but juniors. Then I want to ask him, do you feel like you were the hardest critic on yourself? And almost every single girl raised their hand. And I said, I understand that. If that is the case, when we mess up, and I saw this in the game where a girl didn't play great, but after the play, nobody came up to her and even just gave her a high five, put their arm around her, anything. It was just, they just kept going. And I get it. The game's going on, everything's like that. That's why at this age, I really want the girls to start huddling up versus just the hand thing afterwards. I know they want us to get the balls quick and there's not people there who are wrangling the balls in and rolling the balls in and stuff, but you need to be able to bring the team back together. And I didn't see that, and I told them going forward that will not happen. From here on out, we need to make sure that every girl is, after the play, is reassured that her team has her back. And this isn't a one girl fault. There's a lot to go around on this one. There's coaching errors that would play. It wasn't just the girls. There's coaching stuff too. There's all of it because it's up to me to prepare them for these games and these moments of it. Now, if we would have played week 1 the same way we played against this team, which I believe, and maybe I'm wrong, I believe outside of us, this is probably, and there might be 1 or 2 others. Again, I could be completely wrong. I believe we are probably the 2 best teams in this entire league. I could be wrong, I don't know. I kind of have a feeling though from talking to other teams and seeing stuff what's around. And if you are another coach on another team, and I don't know, I'm sorry for that. I'm just saying from what I've seen and what I know from past experiences, if we would have played this team like we did week one, we wouldn't have tied week one. It was better overall, that they did better. It's just the level of competition was higher, and that really changed the game for them. So I made sure the girls going forward, there's going to be a effort to really play as a team and become a team. This is not tennis. This is not one hit over. We need to start working as a team. Now, like I mentioned with the minis, there has to be fundamental skills acquired in order to play as a team. My team has a few girls who are very, very experienced, and there's a lot of girls who are not at all. So we have to bridge that gap. That's why our sets, the sets that have the more experienced girls, we're not dropping those sets. It's the sets with a little bit less experienced players, and I'm not blaming them for anything. They will learn. My daughters have 40, 50, I don't even know at this point, games under their belts and how many times they've hit a volleyball. There's girls, this is game number 2, this is their very first season, the feel, the atmosphere. I don't expect them to be up at the same areas as my daughters, but we need to take practice serious. And that's what I told them. I said, listen, I want to have fun too. Believe me, everything gets more fun when we're winning and we're playing well and you're developing those skills to where you're not. I don't care how good you're doing as a team. If you're a player and you're playing bad, it's going to mess with you in the head, and then you're not going to be comfortable at all anyway. So we have to develop those skills. So we set out for that practice. I told the girls, it's okay to talk a little bit, but when it's your time, focus. If there's something you're not understanding, please talk to me. And that's the part as a coach. I had to pull 2 players aside and kind of reset them because I've been coaching them so hard. Now, they may not admit it, but I know it. I've been coaching them so hard, almost over-coaching them because I expect so much out of them. I just wanted to go up and talk to them one-on-one and just tell them that let's just relax, we'll reset. If you need me to kind of back off of you, please let me know. I want them to feel comfortable because everybody is different. This is what makes a great coach. And this is the same in the fitness industry. You need to read the people you're working with. You don't train boys the same way you train girls. People have different personalities. Some people respond back to, and I'll give you a perfect example of my 2 daughters. Alina, when the team is up, Alina is the one. She is full go. She's into the game. She's having fun. Addie is a little less, whatever. So like when the team is playing really good, Alina's playing really good. And Alina facilitates that because a lot of what she does is set, and she's a very teamwork player. Not that Addie's not. It's different for the positions that they want to do and what they tend to focus on. Alina does not handle the stress games very well, where I can tell she gets very nervous and she gets very flustered in the games that are really, really tough. Now, not always, but you can tell there's a different mentality in her because of, I believe, the standard she holds herself to. And as my oldest child, and any of you older ones, for the most part, you know how they are with stuff. She puts it on her back for that. In the games that are tough, Addie is the other way. Addie is the hard-headed, nose down, just grind it out, grit player. I would say when the game is tougher, you get a rise out of Addie that you usually don't get in all of the other games. And some players are like that. Some players just thrive on the success. Other players, they flip a switch in their head when things are going wrong and they're like, this is my game, this is my time, I'm taking over. And that's what I saw out of Addie in that game. I've seen the other side of Alina where when the team's up, she's setting, she's facilitating, she's hitting, and everything's going well, and Addie's just kind of a background kind of player. I think because this game was what it was, that's why we saw the rise out of her that we saw, to where she was like, this is my game, and I'm not gonna let this team get the best of me. And that's why she came out the way she played. And again, every player's different. And that's what I was kind of talking about with that and with this team. So ultimately, I posted on Facebook, I believe that the practice on Thursday was the best practice we've had of the entire season. I believe the girls are starting to get, and this is for both groups. This is for the minis, this as well as the juniors. I believe they're starting to get more comfortable with the fundamentals, and even I started introducing some of the more advanced stuff, and I saw a lot of really good things. The scrimmages between the two, now I'm not letting the juniors serve on the minis, and I think they could, and I think the minis could return it depending upon the player. But I don't want to take a chance on a girl getting hit really hard, because there are some really good servers on that junior team that are going to be way ahead of level of anything the minis are going to play. There's good servers in the minis, but again, that age gap is 10 to 12. The juniors the minis is 8 to 10. The juniors is going to be that 10 to 12. There's some 12-year-old girls. When I say as big as me, I don't mean like weight-wise. They're as tall as me. They're built. They can rifle that ball. And a 12-year-old serving on an 8-year-old isn't necessarily what I want to see. And I only have 8 players. I can't have any of them getting hurt. So I need to keep them safe. So me and the other coaches are serving in, but I'm also not making those easy serves for either team. Coach Josh was working with the minis. He was giving them more of what you would see at the mini level for a serve, and it's not always to the same spot. I was fully serving to the older girls. If they're able to handle my serve, not that I'm the greatest server, because I know there's girls in the minis who could probably out-serve me. And again, I'm not swinging as hard as I can, because I don't want to be the other side. I don't want to be coach who hurts player. Unfortunately, I've hit some before. You know it, because most of the time the parents are like, she'll toughen up, let her go. I still feel horrible about that. I don't want to do that. But I was giving them some tougher serves. And really, I was able to see a lot of back and forth between the teams, which is great to see. That shows that the minis are playing at a higher level. That shows that the juniors are starting to play as a team, and these girls are getting used to playing with each other. That was the 2 best things I had out of. So my minis team last season, the one that went and won the championship, they were so good about who was around them. They got really comfortable with the players around them, so they knew how each other would play. Same with my Jefferson League. There was 3 girls who were really, really close. Then we had another fill-in one. And then we had a few of my girls, the 4 that I brought over, my 2 daughters and 2 others. They knew how they played. You just put that one buffer player in the middle who can play with all. You saw a lot of teamwork out of the Jefferson team. There was a lot of sets. There was a lot of kills and girls hitting the ball, which is awesome to see because they were comfortable with playing with each other. This juniors team is not. The minis are just learning how to play in general. The juniors team, they're not. And if you put 2 high motor players next to each other, it's highly likely neither of them are going to move because they're both thinking the other one's going to hit it or go after it. So we're still working with the lineups. But I feel like if I do not put at least 4 of the more advanced players in, I feel like we're going to drop the set. Now that is right now. Give me 2 to 3 more weeks, I think that's going to change. But right now, I don't like necessarily having all of players who are just not that experienced in there, because I think if they just start dropping sets, I think it's mentally going to mess with them. So, but this is the art of the coaching and the balancing side of it. I have to figure out how I can maximize the most out of my experienced players, maximize the most and get my newer players caught up, put them in the system together, put them with the complementary players, and build this out. I can't just rely on having a stacked team come out and just beat everybody, and that's not what I want. I want to be a better coach. This ultimately helps me become better too. It's easy to smoke leagues with the best players. I don't want to do that. I would rather build up a team, even if we don't win it. I would rather build a team up that's not that great into something that resembles a real team than already start out with a stacked team and just run through everybody. And I even feel like my daughters would rather, knowing how they would rather want to build something up and be part of that. And we did that some last year. We had newer players to it, and ultimately that team had some experienced ones, and we built that. Took them time. It wasn't always pretty. Now, 4 or 5 weeks into I think there's 10 games in the season and the postseason, that team was firing and they knew each other. And so that's why that team just got up on everybody. In the beginning, they relied on just a few girls to win it. But there was times with that team, I was having to do team building and different stuff because they just weren't clicking. They weren't fighting. They just weren't clicking. Similar to this team, they're not fighting. They're not clicking yet. We're getting there. But what I saw at the practice was high effort. It was great technique. They were really starting to get it, especially the newer players. And as the newer players learn the fundamentals, that's when we can start doing the advanced stuff, which I actually let the girls start hitting, and it was awesome. I'm pretty sure out of both teams, every girl at least got one hit in. Now there's some who are pretty solid at it, but without the proper setting, hitting becomes really, really hard. And if you're not comfortable setting somebody, or you're not expecting a set, the hits aren't gonna happen. The girls are just gonna stand there, the ball's gonna get popped up, they're gonna have no momentum, they're just gonna slap the ball. So we worked on it. I was the setter, my other coach was the setter, we set the girls, and it was awesome to see. There was a lot of balls going back and forth. And for the girls who have never hit, it's really fun and it feels like real volleyball, but you have to build up those other pieces. I can't skip bumping or passing and just jump to setting and hitting, or we will be the ugliest team out there as far as the technique goes, and I don't want that. But at the same time, I told my junior girls, we cannot keep doing free balls. And what I mean by that is you'll see the ball come over, and then like the third ball or even the second, they'll pass it over and there's no real attempt or placement on the ball. It's just, I'm gonna pass it, now it's your turn, I hope you miss it. I don't like that. These older girls need to start attacking on that last one, or even the second hit. Like I've told Alina, she can do dumps as a setter. She can go up like she's gonna set and then just dump the ball over or place it. This is where you start to develop the volleyball IQ. And I've told the older girls this, the more experienced ones, it's time you develop some volleyball IQ and stop just relying on the other team to make mistakes to get points. Earn your points. That's the next progression. I can get defense down. Even my progression as a coach is I need to develop the offensive systems that allow them to do this. Now I was able to in Jefferson because the girls, almost all of them could set, they could all pass, and most of them could hit. We could do it. Again, they're shorter, so they're not going to get the big hits that you're seeing out of the older, higher level volleyball, because most of them aren't as tall as the net. They can't even jump that high anyway. But there was quite a bit of hits. I believe you're going to start to see that out of this team, and we're going to start really building upon the strengths. I even recruited Alina to pull to the side and coach up on setting quite a bit of the girls. I do want to kind of say something a little bit funny though, because she came back up after the practice. She goes, "Dad, I don't know how you do this." She goes, "I show them 50 times how to set and they still slap the ball or whatever." I said, "Alina, welcome to being a coach. This is what I do all day. Whether it's fitness or whether it's volleyball, this is what it is." And I kind of explained to her, this is how you learn. I can tell you 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. If you're still not getting it, I have to give you the information differently in order for you to understand it. And for anybody that teaches or coaches at this level, even parents, kind of the same thing. Everybody learns different, and you got to try different stuff. Now, hopefully Alina can kind of figure that out, because, just telling somebody again and again and again and again, and they're not getting it, doesn't work. It just creates frustration on both sides. Hence why my kids have never learned how to ride a bicycle. So, and nor do they want to. Tried, they didn't want to. I wasn't going to keep pushing the issue because it just makes Dad mad. So it's just one of those things that we skipped, but they can set and they can hit and they can serve a volleyball. So it was good to see the players start helping the other players and build that up. And I do believe this week, and again, maybe I'm wrong. I hope not. I think everything is going to get put together in this game. I expect to get our first win of the season. I know the other ones don't count as losses. They feel like that. I do think this week is when it starts to come together. The practice on Thursday was great. We have another practice Monday. Unfortunately, we have a few girls out for spring break. The core group is here, and I really think this is where they're gonna start putting the skills and the other parts together. Again, a lot of these girls, this new to them, if they can catch up and the older experienced players can start to rely on them more and not have to rely on themselves, I think you're really gonna start to see it. If not this week, by week 5, it could happen. And I told them, and I know it seems like a long time off, it's really not, it's 2 more weeks. I told them, you could legitimately be the team that goes through the entire season and does not win a game. You'll tie every single game. We will get to that tournament where it's the best of 3. We will run the tournament with the best of 3. And I don't want to see that happen by any means, believe me. But right now, we're beating the teams in the first 2 out of 3 sets. I'll stack it in the tournament. And I've mentioned it with other stuff. The tournament is not the time to teach and learn. You've had the entire season, you've had 10 plus weeks to do that. I'm going to win in the tournament, and I will put the best ones out there in order to do that, because I know the confidence that it builds up in the girls afterwards as they continue to grow and play the sport. But I don't want to see this team tie their way through the entire season. The four girls that I trust, not that I don't trust the others, but I know those four girls can beat most teams 6. They can. Most teams don't have a full 6 loaded, and I trust. This is not a shot at other teams by any means. I know that those 4 girls can all be the 4 best out of maybe the 5 best on the court at any given time. They're good. 3 of them, 2 of them are my 2 daughters, which I've seen them, and that's not because they're my kids. Like, I have coached their butts off, and they've put in the extra effort. One of the other girls has been with us for a few seasons, and physically she's there. She just has a few things to put together. Again, so do mine. But I know the potential of them to just take over games and do that. And then there's another player who's newer to my system, but I know she has it in her. And I've seen it because she has a lot of really, really good stuff. It's just more the focus for her to get there. And again, that may sound really, really cocky. I don't want it to come off that way, but I know how to assess my teams and what I've seen. There's a reason why we ran through the Berkeley League, the minis one last year, with the way that we did. It wasn't just winning the league. We crushed everybody. And then that group, a lot of them, not even all of them, went over to Jefferson in a league that was 11 to 15-year-olds. Half my team wasn't old enough to be there. We ended up getting second place. I'm going to continue to say it. If my team would have been there for the final game, I think we would have won it. Fortunately, was not meant to be. Then you get to this one, the pieces are there. I think that they can do it. So I know these girls have the talent to do it at this age. They just need the rest of the team to mesh, melt, mold together, come up, get to the skills. And I think it will raise everybody. I think the experienced players will help the newer girls, and I think the experienced players will get something out of the new girls as well, to where they feel comfortable playing their game. Right now, the experienced players are feeling like they have to do everything, and that's not what we want. We want to get the other girls in there, and that's why I'm actually glad, because some of the parents have talked to me about how they can improve their daughters, which I love to see. I can't do practice every night, and you don't want to burn the girls out either. But I know there's a lot of parents who want to see their daughters be more successful. And at this age, I think a lot of the kids are starting to care now about they want to be good. Well, it's time to prove it. So you've got to build those extra skills. So I think there's a lot of players on our team who, even the nights they're not practicing, they have a ball in their hand and they're working. And I love to hear that. And it's awesome for the parents to come up to me and ask me, what can I do to speed up my daughter's progression and make her more comfortable and feel better out there? My team can already serve well enough. I'm not that worried on the serving side of it. It's the defensive side, because you're going to come against teams that just don't have great servers, and you're going to come against teams with really good servers. And if you can knock out a good server really, really quickly and then have to make them rotate back through, you have a very solid chance of winning the whole thing, especially when you already have girls who can serve on our team, which I think this is one of the things, and again, could be wrong, but I think it's what separates my team from a lot of the other teams. We only spend 5 to 10 minutes every practice serving. Not that much. Again, I'm doing 2-hour practices. It's a fraction of our time serving. We spend it on defense. Now, you would hope if we spend that much time on it, we'd be better at it, but we're working on it. And again, right now, it's not that they're playing bad. They're playing too unselfish. And they're just not sure if it's their ball or if somebody's going to go in and cut it off. So that's a chemistry issue. We're building that up. As long as I can teach the girls how to pass the ball, the other girls to make sure that they stay in their spot to where they can get that receive on it and then put it over, we're going to get there. I've seen a lot of great things coming out from them. I just love to see where this team is going and the development of the players overall. And again, we may not win the whole thing. Doesn't matter. I know these girls are getting better. I know they're having fun in the process, and I know they're going to continue to play after this. Those were the 3 things. That's what I wanted to see the most out of this, and even more than winning. Winning doesn't matter if you lose the other 3. If a girl's never going to come back to the sport because she didn't enjoy it, I failed them as a coach. I don't want that. I want her to come back, and especially if you lose and you still love it and you want to come back, that shows you something right there. Yes, it's easy to win it, but we had a girl last year who won the championship and she just decided volleyball wasn't for her. And that's okay. I can live with that one. She was still happy and you know, being part of the team and contributing to that, and I get that. I just don't want a girl who doesn't want to return back because of the experience. That's on me. That's on the other players to make sure that she's enjoying this and we're getting something out of it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to continue to build upon that. As I finish this one out, again, if you want to order any of the shirts orders are still going on. A lot of players are going to get theirs in this week, the custom ones. So if you're watching online, thank you for doing so. A lot of the girls, I believe maybe all but one or two on the juniors will have custom shirts. The minis, I believe a few girls have, but a lot of the parents are, and that's the best part. I love to look up in the crowd and see all the parents with the purple on. It's cool. It's a branding thing. Then when we're standing in the hallways, the other teams are coming through, everybody sees the purple. Like I said, if you live in Martinsburg or even, you know, whatever, you're in their area, you see the purple, right there, right here. Yeah, I want you to think of Mountaineer Mike. I want you to think of us. That's why I do the purple, brand it. So if you want to get those shirts, they're still available on the Bonfire website. I tell you every week I'm going to link it. I have yet to on here. It is on the Facebook. If you find the Facebook page, which I believe if you're watching this, you probably are on Facebook, hop on there if you want to order one of the shirts. These are one of the newer ones that I got in. I had one last week. I really like this one. Again, this isn't a player one. This one has the Mountaineer volleyball on the front, and then the back has the big old elk head right here behind me. I think it actually looks like this. Obviously, the colors are different, but I believe it is that one right there on the back of it with the Mountaineer below it. Those are great shirts, but you also have the ones for the individual players. If you want to support your favorite player, go ahead and pick up one of those shirts to have those. I was able to get my wife one with both my daughters on it, as well as my in-laws and my mom to get one with that so she could support them all, because that's what happens when you got two kids playing on the same team. Again, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. If you could, if you're watching these videos and you're not subscribing, please subscribe. Right now, I don't put out a lot. There's going to be a lot of stuff coming. I've got a whole plan of stuff that I want to do. Ultimately, and I want to hit this before we get off here. I know I'm about to hit 50 minutes. I'm like 46 something. But Facebook. So I know some people have a hard time seeing it. Well, part of it is out in the country, it is very hard to record the games. The connection's just, it's a giant metal building. It's not that great. Facebook only allows me to record the games vertically for Facebook Live. So my camera is only able to hit that little part of the court. I want so badly to be able to give you a middle part to where you can actually see the court, but I can't because Facebook Live and the tripod, the camera has to be vertical, which obviously shuts off your field of vision. Like right now, my camera's horizontal, so that's why you're seeing it. YouTube, you have to have like 50 subscribers to be able to do YouTube Live and record stuff. Now, long term, I'm going to start recording all the games in a better quality, like a higher definition, and I will put the games on YouTube. But if you're wanting to watch live, I would like to switch to YouTube Live for the games. The Facebook is still good because the interaction stuff is there. So I don't know, maybe I'll run 3 cameras, but I do want to get everybody better views. It's just based on where we're at, how Facebook is with the vertical camera. YouTube, I believe, allows for horizontal. Again, if I have to pay for a service to find out, I'll figure something out, but I want y'all to be able to see the games as much as possible to do that. But for all those who are joining and watching the games, thank you for that. If you are on there, please keep the comments clean and nice. I mentioned it last time. If the comments get out of hand, I'll have to block you. I don't want it to be like that. Again, don't you ever comment on the girls. Good stuff, yes, but do not call out a girl or any of the people in that, even the referees and the other stuff. And I've got my stuff too. Don't do it. We don't want to be one of those teams. I hate it. I have a story I'm going to bring up in the next Mike cast. I think it's a pretty interesting story. But I hate it, complaining about referees and complaining about the other stuff. I just don't want it. I love the comments of like, go get it girls, or great job, or stuff like that. But let's just stay away from the negative stuff. I don't want to be that team. I don't want to be associated with that. That happens. That's why there's all these different clubs and there's all this drama and animosity that goes on between them. I don't want to be part of that. I want us to be a tough team that yes, we have a reputation, but at the end of the day, I want us to be a respectful team, and I want teams to know we're a good team, but hey, you like us, because we're even going to tell the other team great job no matter what, and we're still going to be a friendly team. We're competitive, but we want to be friendly. We want to do so with class and character. That's important to me. That is in my player contract. That's how it should be. And the same thing goes for the fans. I expect the same thing out of the fans. So please be respectful to the girls, the referees, everything. Let us handle the other side of it. If it's too hard for you to watch, tune in after the game. But let's just keep it clean. Let's do it the right way. I don't want to be one of those other teams. And again, right now, people may think you may only think that you see at the top, there's only 3 people watching or whatever. These games, those first 2 games, I believe are over 800 views between the two. Right now, the minis is sitting close to 450 views. The juniors is sitting in the 200 mark. There is a lot of people. This also goes for me and my progression as a coach. The fan base is a representation of me. So please keep the stuff clean on there. Let's show the character. Let's be something that we can be proud of as a program, whether you're with us now, in the future, or you've been a part of us. I want you to see the purple and think they're a good team, but I also want you to think of the class of the Mountaineer Mite family. So thank y'all. If you need anything, reach out to me via email. I've talked about it before, mountaineermite@gmail.com. Drop a comment in here. Please subscribe and continue to join us on Facebook. We will be back Wednesday, spring break week. We'll see how it goes. I feel like hopefully the minis, they stay on the winning streak. I hope the juniors get the first W of the season. Thank you.